everybody. Welcome to TL's Roadhouse. I'm so excited about this guest, Lane Johnson, two-time Super Bowl champion, current member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, congrats.
Yes, sir.
Honored to have you in the house, brother.
Yeah, man, it's an honor to be here. Grew up on your music, and finally getting a chance to do this. So this is awesome.
You know, we were just chatting before the podcast started. We kind of grew up in a really similar area, man, right there in that East Texas area around Shreveport. And
yep.
So I grew up more on the north side. You grew up more on the south side. There's good water down there and good crawfish too.
Yeah, so it's just great everything. But I think just with your music, I just think the dialogue and just how you were talking was very similar to where I grew up, and so. But yeah, man, love it. There's no place like it.
So tell me about your journey. When did you graduate high school?
So graduated in 08.
Yeah.
Originally I was a quarterback in high school. So
no kidding.
I had an offer from Rice and some smaller schools like Sam Houston's SFA.
Yeah.
So I went to Kilgore for a year. And then after that I went to got a lucky offer from Oklahoma. TCU offered me, and then I went to Oklahoma right after them.
So I've always been curious about the process of how scouts and things go out and start really looking at kids in high school. So as you were developing, how old were you? What was the age when you really started having people look at your athletic ability, your size, have scouts starting to come around? Was it early in high school? Was it not till you got to college? When did you have people start looking at you?
Yeah, so it was still early. Like, they didn't have rivals.com really rolling. So, like, recruiting was hard, especially. So, my school had 30 kids in my class. So,
yeah.
They're going to go to – so Des Bryant was down the road at a big, Lufkin. So, they're recruiting kids from there. But, that was it. It was fun. It was primarily football. I mean, I played everything, basketball, but really started getting noticed going to my junior year. Lanky, I had the frame, and I knew that, I was a quarterback then, but I knew going to college I was going to be playing something else.
Yeah. When did you transition over from quarterback to tackle, or did you move to the offensive line? What other positions did they move you around to?
So when I got to Oklahoma, I was a tight end, and I played there for 1 year, and then I guess going into my redshirt junior year, I was playing a little bit of defense. So I played a few games tight end earlier that year, my sophomore year, a little bit of defense, and then going into that spring, the starter tore something in his knee, and so I got a shot and literally never played. I was rushing the passer. Then I played basketball my whole life, so for me it was pretty similar movement wise with my feet, and then it kind of stuck in the drill. And then I've been here for past 15 years, so it was definitely something that I never saw coming or never thought growing up that I would be playing this position. But
did you have to adjust your eating habits because they like you to bulk up when you get in those kind of slots?
So when I got to college, I was probably 255, 260, and then so I actually came in. You're
buddy, big for a quarterback to start with. That's big.
But when I got to JUCO, I was probably 230.
Yeah.
So that was coming in 18. When I got there, I had a buddy who came in with me. He went to center the year before from tight end, so he went from 245 to 305, and literally 8 months.
How difficult is that to do? I mean, you just gorging yourself all the time when you're trying to put that weight on?
Well, no, you have a strength coach there that if you don't make weight, hey, there's some prices to pay if you don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
do they balance out your workload, your workout load?
Yeah.
Because you got to burn some of it off, but the intake and the out and all that stuff, they got to be able to calculate all that stuff.
Yeah, no, they have strength coaches do that. Now they have GPSs, they know total yards covered, how much work output. So it's a lot more, I guess, scientifically back than it was back in the old days. But after a year and a half, it didn't take long to put on 35, 40 pounds. But Oklahoma, it was weird. I always wanted to go to either there or Texas. I think out of high school, I was a big Vince Young fan, but my high school coach, Keith Thomas, played there, so he was my biggest advocate for going.
How do you feel about Texas and Oklahoma coming into the SEC now?
Hey, it was a big wake-up call.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you what.
No, it was, but after playing all these guys in the NFL, I play these SEC guys. Just the body types are, when it comes especially to the O-line, D-line, it's like skill positions are pretty tight, but when it comes to O-line, D-line, a lot different than SEC.
Is it really? Just because of the size of the guys?
Recruiting, yep. I mean, it seems like you just go look at Georgia's, all
those SEC schools, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, I mean, they all have massive linemen, man.
Yeah, and they usually get guys with just traits, long arms, usually freak athletes. And then when they get to college, they kind of develop them. So there's been guys like that go to TCU, was a running back. His name was Tommy Blake. Ended up going to DN by the time he was done. So
they look more at body type now when they're evaluating you as you're coming into that. That's pretty interesting.
And kind of when parents come in the door too, they're kind of framing out, oh, this is what so it's all kind of like a cattle auction, kind of, to be honest with you.
We got a 15-year-old nephew that's staying with us right now. His family's been overseas. His dad got transferred, so he's missed a couple of years of baseball, and so he's back playing baseball. He's been staying with us through the spring, and took him to a Vandy Razorbacks baseball game the other day, and I got tickets from my friends at Arkansas, and Coach Van Horn came over and talked to him, the baseball coach from Arkansas.
Got him amped up.
Well, he looked him up and down. How old are you, son? Well, I just turned 15 yesterday. And he said, how tall are you? And he's really looking at his body type. I mean, I could tell he was evaluating immediately. So I guess there's a skill set to that as a coach, as you're looking for. There's probably a computer graph of everything with how they place everybody in those different roles in the sports, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, even at the pro level, so if they're recruiting certain positions, like if a center, you have to have a certain weight, body type, arm length. Arm length is a huge deal. I can get to the guy before he can get to me. So they look at all that. There's a lot of critical factors that guys have to match up per team. So it's interesting.
I wonder as the whole playoff landscape has changed in college, as some of those smaller schools, are winding up in, the later part of the bracket, that when you can tell when they fall apart, it's depth, it's body type. I mean, there's things that where you just they might have the skill set at some level, but it's hard to compete with those big schools that have such depth of roster that are really honed in on how to put these teams together.
Yeah, I mean it's they pay a lot of big money, especially pros. Scouting departments. They put a lot of time in. Yeah, so usually when you go to the combine or the Senior Bowl, they you're having interviews with them, and they know all the answers to the test before they ask you. So they've been talking to people you went to high school with. They want to know how were you before, football came into your life. How did you treat people? So kind of they're going to invest a lot.
Mental attitude.
Yeah, it's really
disposition, the whole thing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Well, even if you have a great player and he's an asshole to people or treats people bad. He comes to a room, and then, hey, all these other people that look up to this guy are going to say, hey,
that can mess your locker room up too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what they're all looking at.
Yeah. How's the chemistry in your team after winning the Super Bowl? Are they going to be able to hold most of it together? I know I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yeah. No, there's there's always some guys hit free agency, but man, we have a lot of I'm one of the older guys now, or the oldest guy now, but man, we have a fun locker room, great locker room. O-line room is really funny. We got I'm probably one of the smaller guys in the room too. So we just got a bunch of big, crazy dudes. Got a crazy O-line coach, but it's a lot of fun, man. I love it.
So I was at the Super Bowl this year. I got to watch you win. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We were there. Had a great time.
Yeah,
I was very disappointed. I thought the competition was going to be better. I thought Kansas City was going to come to play. Something was off that day. I can't put my finger on what it was. What did y'all feel like? I mean, they were. I mean, he was throwing balls at Jason's feet, and it just seemed like Mahomes was off a little bit.
Yeah, we just had constant pressure, and the thing with them was I think they've had some injuries at tackle, so they had some guys kind of out of position, guards that were filling in, like Tooney's an all-pro player, at guard, but they're asking him to play left tackle. And so when they're not double teaming Jalen Carter, some guys are getting one-on-one. So that's really how we look at it.
I guess you're aware of that stuff coming in. When the coaches are putting game plans together, you're looking for those soft spots to attack too.
Well, yeah, it's like probably being in the music business, you can probably tell somebody's talented within, a few notes. And like me watching film or being around somebody, I can tell within a few minutes of somebody what their caliber.
You can sniff it out pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know growing up in that area, all of my friends were Dallas Cowboy fans when we were young, and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan as I've gotten older. But the Pittsburgh Steelers were my team when I was a kid, and so much of it was because of Terry Bradshaw.
I love Terry Bradshaw.
You had to love Bradshaw growing up as a kid in that area, man, because he had such an impact on that.
Terry, when I was growing up, I was a Brett Favre fan, so it wasn't a
I love Brett too, man.
I thought him and Terry had that image of, man, they were tough country guys, but they were guys that the team loved.
They'd fight the fight with you.
They would fight the fight with you.
Yeah.
And they didn't apologize for who they were, and they just had that brashness about them that I thought people loved, and as a competitor. And Yeah, Terry, I don't know if you saw the outtake, I guess, of the Super Bowl. He was talking about, I guess, the difficulty when, or I guess he was at the parade and he was talking about some fans were saying, we don't care about this one, you better win it next year. But kind of went off on a tangent. Really funny if you get to see it. But
I love Terry, man. I've got to hang out with him a little bit over the years. He's really a cool guy, man. He's just the knowledge of the game and the just all he's been through, man. He's just one of those great characters that you get to run across in your lifetime. It's been one of the coolest meets that I've ever had of getting to know somebody a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's some cool people that you've met along the way outside of your field? I know it's probably as a new kid getting into the professional world, man, when you still have some really iconic players that were playing with you when you were just starting out. I imagine that's really cool. And I want to talk about that too. But who are some people you met along the way through this journey that have really, you thought, man, I can't believe I actually met that person?
I guess meeting Peyton the first time was probably, I got to meet, I guess, Post Malone. It was both actually in the same night. I was at a Luke Combs concert, but I was going to the Chiefs 49ers. So I was there for the Walter Payton event, but I got to meet them, spend some time with them. Just really cool, down to earth, and talking to Peyton, you could just see having that guy at quarterback would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. He was so knowledgeable of the game.
So knowledgeable and intense, and he knows what's about to happen before it happens. And so when you have a guy that smart, it just makes everything so much easier for everybody.
Well, it's you got to have the captain of the ship, man. They're such a pivotal piece of everything that makes that team dynamic and functioning.
Yeah, just his demeanor. Drew Brees is really cool as a young player. Yeah. He was another guy that could really light up a room, just have a great speech. Not just, I think the biggest thing he says, get your stuff off the field fixed. And he said and all that stuff will help you with stuff on the field. And he says,
that's good advice.
Yeah. Great advice. You just don't realize how much stuff drags you down. But hearing that from an older, from a generational guy like him as a young player was really cool. Trying to think some other guys, as far as music, went to school with Cody Johnson. He was a little bit older than me. He was a senior when I was a freshman. Know Parker McCollum some, done some hunting with him. So other than that, man, I spend a lot of time I train. So what's funny is I have a gym back home in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And so buddy that played with me in college went to the pros for a little bit, kept tearing his hamstring. But anyways, so, he does mostly construction, but he's been my lifting mate all these years in the off season, training partner. So yeah, man, I spend a lot of time back home. I train, I fish, hunt when I can. Football season kind of takes that a lot away, but I love to do that. And really.
When you after the end of a season, how much time do you take to decompress? And do you just maintain a light workout load, just like going to the gym a couple hours a day? And when do you start pushing to get ready to get back into game mode?
It's like I'm always pushing.
Really? You never take any downtime where you just kind of relax?
No, there's downtime, but I've always even with fitness and lifting weights, the downtime doesn't mean I'm not going as hard, but I kind of build up my program.
You change your diet in the off season a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I try to eat pretty healthy, but we do have a weight range that we try to stay in between. They do measure your body fat, but yeah, you can get carried away a little bit.
Well, what's your weakness? Sweets.
Yeah.
Freaking sweets, man. There's a lot of people see the bread or sweets.
Yeah, sweets, man. Yeah. Bad. Yeah,
that's bad. The sugar's bad for you.
Sugar's
man.
bad.
It really is.
But hey, I don't mind it, especially after a workout or something. I'll get into it, and I don't feel as bad. But I try to stay pretty healthy.
I'm curious, man. So I when I went to college, I was in a fraternity for a little bit. What's the hazing like as a rookie coming into the locker room in an NFL team? What do they do? Is it calm now? I'm sure it used to be crazy.
It used to be really crazy. Yeah. So when I got there, Chip Kelly was the coach, drafted me. And he didn't have any of that, but we did have our deal of hazing is a rookie talent show. So we all go in, and there's people that love being in front of a crowd. There's people that love speaking, and there's people that absolutely hate it.
Just got to torment the shit out of it.
And if guys do bad enough, hey, they'll make them go up there consecutive days, and they keep just shitting the bed. They'll make them go up there and just. That's kind of the initiation, the hazing. I think I've heard some stories. Jason Kels, I think they spray painted his car with some. I think it's washable, but he didn't know that time.
Yeah,
they've done that. They filled people's, I guess, cars and trucks with foam or something. Just messing with them. But,
well, you got some things. You got to have a little fun, man. That builds camaraderie and teamwork. I mean, there's so many things that add to that whole dynamic to make a team a team.
Yes,
it really is.
But really, the talent show's really gotten pretty fun. And I enjoy it. And so that's a great way, especially, you're getting younger players you don't know much about, and you get to know them pretty quick.
That's pretty cool, man. I think Lindsey was telling me as I was prepping for this, going through the notes, you've actually done 2 or 3 Christmas albums for charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you sing a little bit.
Yeah.
Come on now.
No, so Kels, obviously, yeah, you know him now, but kind of as the whole podcast thing was blown up, he was like, hey, let's do some.
Him and Travis have a pretty popular podcast these days.
Yeah, so I was there before, I've been with Kels before all that started, but but as it kind of heated up, he was melodic can really sing, so he was basically he always wanted to do a Christmas album, so we love bullshitting and singing after games. None of us can really sing, but melodic can really sing, so we did that. The money I got from that I gave back to my JUCO, so it's kind of a win-win, man.
That's cool.
So getting the locker room and stuff redone around there, so but going into the studio, really, there wasn't any training for me. So going in there, I was like, man, I'm at a gunfight with rocks, with fucking little rocks, and I'm going, man, hey. So
that's awesome.
I definitely felt, what y'all do, but no, it is just seeing the whole process of how it's all done, and people coming in and laying down different.
It's pretty fascinating if you've never been in.
Exactly. People may think it's all a one-time thing, but just how it's set up was really interesting.
Making a record is really a cool process, man. I've always been fascinated by it, love being a part of it, at the highest level. And the most amazing thing to me are the skill sets of the engineers and the musicians. When you come in, these players, man, they can take an acoustic demo and chart that thing out in about 2 minutes with a work tape and structure it. You run a couple of takes and they're freaking done. You're doubling, tripling parts and getting ready to do vocals. It's crazy how fast they are.
Yeah. So I guess for you, with your band, did you already have the main guys? Were there consistently?
I've had several different groups along the way, but let's see. I usually use the whole in-town session players when I'm making records. I've used a couple of guys from the road over the years, but most of it's people that do it on a daily basis, that are there every day. The skill set is real sharp and their ears are real tuned to that studio environment. It's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated. We cut things so different here. It's like my buddy Brad Arnold with 3 Doors Down. I've seen them come in and go to Ocean Way and book the studio for 4 months at a time, and then they write everything.
So I've always wondered that. So you have to book studio time.
Well, see, we do.
There's not enough studios, and we can't get our own studio and do kind of our own time.
Well, it's
back then there wasn't.
Well, there's lots of studios around, but they would come in and sit down and they'd write everything along the way.
Yep.
And country artists, we write all of our songs or select all of our stuff on the front end. Then we'll go in and we'll book a 10 and a 2 session, and you go in and track 6, 7 songs at one time, and then hire players to come in, and it's all very regimented, man. You go and knock that shit out pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's just I think the Nashville process is more efficient than anything else that I've seen.
Way more efficient. If you're renting the studio for 4 months and you don't have anything written, I mean, the country guys, they get their shit together before they go into the studio.
Oh, I bet.
That way you go and knock it out.
Yeah. We practice up, man.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you go in there, it's all regimented.
So I'm gonna change gears a little bit. So when I first got to Nashville, I got to Nashville in the fall of 1990, and I went in to record my debut album in May of 1991. When I was finishing it up, I got mugged and I got shot in a parking lot here in Nashville, and my mental health struggled with that for a long time. I never got the counseling or the help that I needed, and it caused me anger issues for a long time. It caused me problems in my relationship. It caused me a lot of substance abuse issues over the years. I know that you are an advocate for mental health. Why are you an advocate for it, and what have you been through that has taken you to that place?
Yeah, well, I think whenever I was struggling, I think a lot of, men like to isolate, just because I think of our upbringing and kind of the culture. But for me, it was more of education. I didn't understand human psychology and what is anxiety, what am I feeling? And so kind of navigating through that. So my anxiety always stemmed from performance, because I knew if you don't perform, you're not going to go. But for me, I had a lot of anxiety at Oklahoma because I knew I had, 2 or 3 windows to set up a long time of whether I'm going to do this or not. So,
that's got to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And then, if you're drafted in the first round, you're going to be labeled a boom or a bust. the rest of your life, whether, you're in, you love it or not, just how it is. So I always had, I guess, this fear. Almost, it feels like I had this drive since I was little, like to, I don't know, compete. And so, for me, whenever I think my biggest doubts with like anxiety is whenever I had an injury to my, had ankle surgery. And so the year coming back, I'm in a training camp and I can't really run. I'm out there going to 2 days and I'm like, fuck, I'm at a crossroads where, hey, I got to take some time off and get this thing, really dialed in or retire. So, but for me, I noticed that when I withheld all that stuff, it wasn't transparent. I was only digging a deeper hole for myself that I was going to have to, make amends with later. But for me, I think initially as a younger guy, it's kind of embarrassment because you don't know what you're feeling. You don't know who you want to talk to. But for me, what I found out is that I had a lot of teammates that were going through the same exact thing. Yeah. And so I could relate to them. And, I think after getting, talking to really educated people that understand, I guess these different feelings and different processes navigating them. But for me, it was really about, understanding psychology and, instead of masking symptoms, with drinking or whatever, let's get down to what's really eating me,
I've wondered too, comparatively speaking, I know when I go through vocal issues and feel like I'm struggling through periods of time or whatever, it causes me a great deal of depression because it's so intertwined with my personality and who I am because I've been doing it so long that if I ever had to get to a point where I had to make a decision of separating from that, I'd have a real hard time with it. And it's got to be really hard for an athlete that came up with the same kind of passion. It becomes so ingrained in your personality and who you are as a human being. And you go through those stages. And how do you even prepare to deal with that at the end of your NFL career? That's got to be a mental challenge in itself because all of a sudden, all this stuff, you won Super Bowls, you have all these accolades. I mean, you're what are you, the right tackle of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done some amazing things in your career. When that comes to an end, are you preparing to mentally cope with all that?
Yeah, so what it is it was always something that I guess like us, we thought we could achieve our way out of it. You think achievements are the answer, and it's not. But for me, I think, my struggle was I knew I had a lot of years playing, and I felt like it was about to get handicapped by this injury where I was going to have to retire. Yeah. And so that was going through my mind. But after I got through that, I think my 30s are a lot better than my 20s. And I think, for now I've already got the gym going in Guthrie. So I think once I retire, I want to train guys.
So you've already got an exit strategy worked out.
So I'm saying,
That's good. Yeah, you gotta have that.
But yes, there's a lot of guys that who they are is what they do, and so if you can't separate those two,
especially when you're doing it for basically most of your adolescent life and your young adult life, it's so ingrained in you, man. That's a tough thing.
Yeah, but hey, you just gotta let go of the pride and the ego, and then for me, I think being able to live through others with that. If you can see guys develop from a very kind of where you were and being able to give them knowledge and give them exactly and not have to put all my time into coaching because they spend a lot more hours in the building than what players do. So
I wonder how much different now it is too, just from the time that you got in. The whole technology and the ability to access video clips and things through social media and the internet of these players as they're coming through. You have so much technology that is at your fingertips about ways to track and monitor these kids as they develop through. The whole process has had to have changed over the years where we're at right now. How in tune are you with all that now?
Well, the NIL's.
I got questions about the NIL too.
Yeah. Well, I say the recruiting is better. Like, far as exposure, so much more than what there was back in 2007. They barely had YouTube up and running. So,
it's drastically.
So different. You're sending in all these videos to all these recruiters. They're having to DVD this, and so some guys, they don't have their highlight film right. Like their best plays for the first few minutes. Coach is going to watch a few on to the next. So the exposure is good in a positive way. So I think, myself coming from a very secluded, place in Texas, only had 30 kids in my class, very hard to get noticed.
Yeah.
And are you even competing against, powerhouse schools? So they're looking at your competition. So, but now the information, the access is so much better. So, in a good way. Bad way is that, now I think with recruiting is they rely a lot on these rivals.com, scout.com. They give them stars instead of going out, doing their work, doing on-field workouts and seeing, instead of relying on their service, go out there the old-fashioned way and, work these guys out yourself.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the things in the industry, too, have kind of when I was a kid growing up, you followed teams and you followed the whole team. It's like I remember Lynn Swan and Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer and that Pittsburgh team of that era. But with free trade and everything the way it is now, I mean, you basically follow a lot of individual players around the league. You get detached from being a fan of the brand so much. At least I have over the years.
Yeah, and there's so few guys staying with teams. Like I'm one of the few guys that have stayed with the team the whole time. But as guys that are free agents, they have they're going probably where the highest bidder is and. How it impacts.
And you can't blame them because you never know.
Blame them
because what if you do have that catastrophic injury?
Exactly.
You better get your check when you can get your check.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we understand that. But very, very few guys are staying with their teams.
My worry right now with the state of football, with college, as we're developing young athletes and professionals, the NIL concerns me. It concerns me that there are going to be a select handful of kids that have access to a whole lot of money at a time and place when they don't have the skill set to manage it.
Think they could do something bad with that money?
Oh, yeah. A lot of bad things with that money. It terrifies me.
What would you have done with about 1.2 in 1991? Oh, you did?
I did.
You had a good time?
I had a great time. So it scares me,
no doubt,
because I worry about what it's going to do to the sport.
Yes. I had coaches tell me before that it's going to ruin college football. Now I think, now that the cat's out of the bag, I think the way they structure it should be redone, and there should be.
I do too.
Yeah, well, it should be similar to what a pro contract is. If you're
if you get a scholarship to go to, say, Auburn, and you're a football player and you get a full ride.
Yes.
If all of a sudden your social media and your NIL and you make $2 or $3 million, you should not be able to get a full ride. You should pay for your own freaking tuition.
Yeah.
And I think it should be set up in a trust fund, so you shouldn't have access to all that money.
Get a certain percentage.
You should only get a certain percentage until you're mature enough to be able to handle that. I think it's going to ruin some lives.
Yep. I mean, you're thinking that's exactly what I was brainstorming about was. Give them a certain percentage that they can live off of, that they can't abuse, set the rest up for when their amateur career's done. When they graduate college, they can get it. And if you transfer, hey, all the stuff you made from this school, you give some portions back.
I agree with that, too.
Because they're doing who's the new highest bidder? Okay, I got beat out for a job. Who's the new highest bidding team? That's not setting a good precedent for people.
Well, you used to not have to worry about it, and there was always problems. You had kids that came through college and went to the NFL and got a big contract, and I don't think they ever spent enough time educating people on how to manage your life and manage your money and different things.
At all.
There's always somebody coming at you that's got a great deal, that's wanting you to invest, and you can turn around. You got $40 million in the bank, and you could be broke in 5 years.
Quick.
It can happen really freaking quick because they're coming after you, man. Once you get money, they're coming at you.
Yes.
Now, you're not even waiting until you're 23, 24 years old. No. It's happening to you when you're 18, 19.
Yeah, it's similar to how with basketball players.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is guys' commitments to a program and them because what I've been told is that they sign contracts for 4 months or 5 months at a time, and that's what the contract is, I guess, per semester. And then after that's agreement's up, then they kind of look for highest bidders. Now I can understand people that are wanting to go transfer to play, but it's also if it's not setting a good precedent for competition and.
There's some things about the transfer portal, too. I don't think you should be able to get in the transfer portal until your team is done with however long their run lasts.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be able to dump off. If you get in a bowl and you say, man, I'm going to go in the portal. I don't want to get hurt. I'm not going to finish my season up with my team. I got a problem with that.
Puts everybody in the bind.
It's not fair to your team. It means that you weren't a team player with that team.
Yeah. No, it's not good at all.
No.
Well, just like, you can't do that in the pros. And now it's, now the college kid is able to get some money, but it definitely needs to be restructured.
How difficult in your mind would it be like a Pete Carroll that came from college into the professional league. You know, Nick Saban tried it, didn't do well with it, went back to college. How hard is that, excuse me, that transition if you're trying to, there's a difference in teaching young adolescent men and grown men. And a different way that you lead them. How different is that, and how difficult a transition would you perceive that to be?
Yeah, so I think Coach Carroll was majored in psychology, so he's big on that component. So I think he allows man to be grown man. I think the biggest way to get people's attention at the next level is fine them. With money, if you're late to a team meeting, you get fined, you miss the bus. And after certain many mess ups, you're not on the team anymore. So but I think the way he does it in a professional way. And I think if you try to go scream at guys like Nick Saban did at some 30-year-old man,
not gonna go over well.
It's not gonna go over too well.
No.
But so I think there's ways definitely to navigate it, and there's coaches that you see that are able to do both, and there's coaches that their dynamic is that window 17 to what Saban's done. I mean, he's all these guys' lives that he's impacted. Alabama.
Oh, without a doubt, man. He built careers for a lot of these young men.
And so I actually, one of the guys that I've talked to that the Eagles utilize, his name's Dr. Lionel Rosen. So Lonnie Rosen. Big sports psychologist. So he's actually the psychology at Michigan State. Yeah. So, but he's been kind of his, mentor for a lot of years. At least how he coaches different players. The different methods of coaching, different angles, how to motivate people. I think is one. There's some guys that you need to get, not belittle them, but kind of coach them in front of players. They respond well that way.
Yeah.
And there's some guys that, hey, you put them, one-on-one conversation at lunch and you tell them, and then that makes the biggest impact. So, and I think the way people learn too, you're talking to football players a lot. We're in the classroom, and I talked to my coach about this. It's like, Coach, we do a lot better running our plays, walk through, doing stuff visually. It'd be like us going into a classroom, learning how to drive a car rather than getting in the car and having somebody instruct us through that way. So a lot of it, like as far as teaching, there's a big with coaching. So there's multiple different avenues. How to motivate players, different ways. How do they learn visually? Classroom. So just a lot of different stuff that kind of goes off. Or goes into
that tells me that coaching styles are evolving in the NFL a little more from the old school mentality.
Yeah, I mean, and in college, I mean, there's still coaches that have that old school mentality.
There are probably a lot of those getting phased out though at this point, aren't they?
Yeah, or they have to adapt in some ways, control the rage, I guess.
Yeah. It gets pretty intense.
Oh yeah. And you need to. So I mean, our strength coach at Oklahoma was he was on you every day, and I think that man out there propelled me for what life in the NFL was.
What I've been seeing some rule changes pop up for the upcoming NFL season. What can you tell me about them? What have you seen the things that they're changing in the league?
Well, I know they changed the football kickoff last year. They tried to get rid of the tush push. It didn't go.
Did it not? I thought that's one of the things I saw.
No, it didn't get banned yet. They probably who knows. So that's all I know right now. I haven't really kept up a whole lot of headlines. The draft will be here in a little bit, I guess, later this month. So
where's the draft at this year?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It used to be only at Radio City Music Hall in New York, so that's where I went back in the day.
Yeah, well, we had it here before COVID, and it was.
Yeah,
I mean, it was pretty. 500,000 people on abroad, and we had a Stanley Cup playoff going at the same time too. It was insane.
The new Titan Stadium is going to look nice. I see that they're building it.
Yeah, it's coming up, man.
It's
coming up.
This one's in Pittsburgh. Says
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Really, that's cool.
Steel curtain.
Yes, sir. Gotta love it. How's as you get ready for when do y'all start? When y'all start practicing again?
So we have OTAs, which stands for Organized Team Activity. So that's kind of spring ball for us. So you get new guys, they learn the offense. Older players, it's like you're going through the ABCs again, but you kind of do it in phases through April to I think early June, and then we have a break for about 6 weeks before training camp starts in late July, and then
Gotcha.
July to January, February.
Yeah, getting ready for preseason. So how do you feel about off-season football? I mean, I've tried to watch these leagues.
Yeah.
I can't do it, man.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to watch football in the damn spring.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me, does it? It just doesn't feel natural.
No, and
I can't do it.
You try to wait all year to conserve that energy for football season so you can give it a good go for 6 months. And then, it's not meant to be
it's not a year-round thing,
but, man. They don't have like a G League for the NBA, or, they have a G League in the NBA. They used to have NFL Europe. So I think they're trying to bring that back, or maybe ways for like NFL expansion, guys in Europe, or, our left tackles from Australia. So they're getting guys from overseas and trying to go to the games.
It looks like the overseas market's doing well, but they do a couple of games a year over in London.
Our first game was in Brazil this year.
How soon do you go over? Well, Brazil's not that bad. You're still in North America. You can probably stay in Central Time. But going over there across the pond.
Yeah, it's different.
How many days did they prepare, set y'all up for jet lag to overcome that, to get your bodies back ready to play? 2 or 3 days? Yeah,
so we would go out probably, if we're playing Sunday, we'll probably go out that following Monday, or maybe if we have it's usually about a week in advance. Yeah.
Gotcha. What about Denver? What about the altitude in Denver? You just different for that game?
Yeah, well, no, their whole philosophy is if you get in there within like 24, there's a certain time period that they say it doesn't affect you.
That's bullshit.
That's their science. Hey, I told Coach Sign, hey, I'm gasping on like a fucking catfish on the sideline. Hey, here's your science, buddy. So we have some guys.
Breathe,
hey, we have oxygen tanks ready for Denver. So what I do like about Denver, so I'm a big locker room guy. So some guy, you'll be surprised. College locker rooms are a lot superior to the pros. So you'll find some locker rooms are really nice, and there's some of them that are really small. Like it's. What are we doing?
Well, they do that to you on purpose when you're a visiting team, though.
Well, I'm not going to say which team, but it's small ass locker room, and it has like all the spray insulation, where they have all the mesothelioma fucking commercials.
The asbestos hanging down out of the ceiling.
So I'm gonna sue these in 10 years when I get it from this.
Where are the most hostile fans at around the country? Is that the Jets? Are they?
I played. I mean, they're rowdy. I mean, Cowboys is rowdy there. It's a tough place to play. Yeah. Let me see. The Raiders, they're pretty rowdy there. Baltimore's rowdy. Trying to think. That was super loud. Yeah, I mean, any division rival we're playing. Yeah. The Giants, the Commanders, and the Cowboys.
I've been to a Cowboys game while y'all are out there playing.
You already know.
And we sit on the visitor's side over there. So,
man.
Oh boy, yeah.
People catching hell. Hey,
man,
taking it. But no, it's some, I guess, the way some stadiums are, the fans, I guess the way the teams are constructed, that they're on you more or closer to us, so you kind of get a different game experience.
How much longer do you think you're going to do this?
It's a good question.
Is it a physical thing, just kind of play it year by year? You got 3, 4, 5 years that you think you got gas left in the tank?
Well, I'll be 35 in May, and I feel good. I mean, and how I assess myself after each season is, look, hey, are you diminishing in speed, flexibility, strength? What is it? Is there any visuals? And I kind of just reassess it by that. So,
how the hell did Tom Brady do what he did at his age? I have it beats anything I can even fathom.
Well, I think all those, all the diet stuff he did, his routine, I think that's
gotta have a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah, eating clean.
Yeah.
He's in the sauna every day. He has a guy that's following him around. He's always stretching. So I think he just understood that there's different ways of training. There's European styles, there's American styles, and I think what he found is just what style works for him. Everybody's a little bit different, but I think he found, I'm going to train in ways to where my body isn't taking a beating, where I feel good, especially in my later years, because you can recover better when you're in your early 20s. But I just think he was very smart, dialed in, and he's invested a lot into his body. I mean, having that team around him, having those foods around you available at all times, a lot of money spent. Hear about LeBron spending, maybe a couple million on his body every year. Just with
hyperbaric chambers,
all of
having a dietitian and a chef in the house that's preparing all your foods and weighing everything and counting the calories and counting the carbs and the sugars and everything that you're putting in your body.
Yeah, and if you do that alone, I mean, it's a lot to try to navigate that. But having a team, and so for me, I hired a trainer back in 17. Like I said, I was going through all these injuries and ex-Marine, Special Forces. So man, he's got me dialed in. Especially, I'm a better player now in my 30s than I was in my 20s. So I just wish I would have paid more attention when I was younger.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? I like to go back and just say,
yeah,
what the hell are you doing?
I say that, but then I'd probably go back and live twice as hard. Yeah, what the hell with it, brother? I really have enjoyed the conversation. Great getting to know you, and I hope we get a chance to do this again. I wish you all the best in the future, man. Stay healthy. Do this as long as you want to, brother.
Yep.
Win another Super Bowl, man.
Yep. Well, we'll be in the hunt again, man, for sure.
Awesome. Lane Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah, baby.